It is Monday, November 16th, aboard the trolley, heading back downtown.
You reach the transit point where the two of you must separate to go to your homes. McSweeney to make his phone call to the police lieutenant, and Albert Gavigan to maybe see about reopening his business, which has been shuttered these many days.
Well, I'm gonna try to charge off and go to the phone in the bottom of my building, so I can give the good lieutenant a call and just let him know what's been going on lately.
The rally that was there earlier in the day is starting to break up. They're cleaning up the placards, and there's still a few people around being interviewed or added to a checklist on a clipboard, that kind of thing. But
yeah, I'm going to stop real fast and pull up my notebook and just go up to the guys that are organizing it. There's still people that are clearly in charge, and just say, "Hey there, Terrence McSweeney, Boston Post. You mind if I get your name? Get a statement? I'd like to put something in the paper, maybe. See if we can get some more people to come down. Looks like you guys are doing, helping people out. A lot of people out of work, so figure maybe I could share that. That's okay."
Well, we have submitted a statement to the newspapers, I believe, but here's our literature. And they hand over a professionally made, like one color, but professionally made pamphlet.
Just give it a glance. Can I just get your name?
Oh, I'm not very important. I'm just the face turns bright red.
Yeah, I'm Terrence McSweeney. Who you're just your name. Maybe you'll end up in the paper. Maybe you won't.
I don't think it's just words don't even really come out. Kind of like just looking around. So another gentleman, not of a different social class, the shirt barely holding together, very clean, well pressed, but seen better days, ragged suit, wearing thin at the elbows, that kind of thing. Comes over and says, "Can I help you?"
Yeah, no, the Terrence McSweeney of Boston Post. I just wanted to maybe put a small article in about you guys here. I know you submitted something to the paper already, he said, but just kind of let people know that you're here. Looks like you've got a lot of work for people, which is great.
Well, we won't be here again for a few weeks. We circulate through the neighborhoods.
Sure, but that's great. If anybody wants to just go find you, what do they do?
Okay. Well, maybe we could sit down. He's just pointing at the stairs in front of the tenement.
Oh yeah, sure.
Would you like some coffee? I think there's some left.
No, that's all right. I've trying to get my sleep schedule back in order. I've been had a crazy couple of days.
Oh, well, you do look tired. Do you like your job?
That's not bad. Writing for the paper is pretty decent. But
I don't recall seeing your name in the paper, so
I don't always get my articles in there.
Well, and not all the articles have names.
No, I'm certainly not a famous reporter.
Well, how do you feel about that?
Well, hey, who's interviewing here, fella? It's not great.
I'm sorry.
It's not great.
As you can see from the literature, our organization is called People and Future. We're a non-religious, secular organization of people helping people through communication. For example, you work at the newspaper And there could be situations where the newspaper is shorthanded, but you don't know anybody who could fill that role. Our role is to communicate the vacancies with the people with the skills.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Can I get your name?
Sure, I don't want my name to be in the newspaper.
Oh, sure. Well, just give me your first name. I mean, I'm Terrence.
He holds his hand up. I'm Roger.
Good to meet you. Good to meet you.
You
Well,
live
that's decent.
here? Or in one of these?
Yeah.
I live on the corner.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding. Small world. How long you been involved with this organization?
Oh, it is really quite new. So it was an informal network before, which found me some work. And in the last, I was looking into the distance, trying to remember, 2 or 3 weeks, we've been able to get the pamphlets together and the signs made, and volunteers to help with the food.
Well, that's good. You guys got a headquarters?
The contact information is on the pamphlet.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I appreciate the time, Roger.
My pleasure. Maybe I'll see you around. You do look a little familiar, but maybe it's just those heavy bags under your eyes. It changes to. Are you getting enough to eat?
Ah, well, recently, yeah. As a matter of fact, but yeah.
Well, that change in diet can make you feel. Well, if you need anything, you can contact us through the.
Well, sure. I appreciate that, Roger. Appreciate your time. I got to make a call, but just wanted to.
I better get back to help make sure everything's packed away. So you have a good day.
You too. You too. Just kind of put my pad back and the pamphlet in my jacket pocket. I figure I'll just take a look at that in a little bit. When I head into the building to the where they have the phone, just make a quick call to the lieutenant.
There are a number of messages tacked next to the phone for you, like just folded over pieces of paper. Yeah. McSweeney.
I'll take them out and start looking through them real fast, just to see if there's anything that's really jumping out at me.
They're all from your editor. The last one is written in larger print, saying, "Come into the office today, or you're fired." And there's
Okay, well, I guess go to the office.
November 1931 is kind to few, least of all the little guys caught between the cold shoreline, the crummy breadline, and the frontline violence of mobsters and G-men. Every day, the news is so bad that people don't even want to line their clothes or shoes with the papers that report it. But the chill talks them into it. Maybe, if they live one more day, it might be work. Although the suffering and the violence are getting worse every day, the papers take any opportunity to write about something else. Scandals, gangsters, socialists and socialites. Hundreds of small fry jump or get jumped every night. But if one rich guy stumbles,
Oh shoot! This is not what I wanted to be doing today.
The earlier messages are just like call the office, call the office, call the office. Call the office
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Call the office before 3 p.m. Come into the office today or you're fired.
Looking around the clock to see like about what time is it right now, give or take.
Well, that clock has been religiously devoted to declaring it's 1:37 p.m. for quite a few weeks.
Okay, great. I'm just poking my head out for a second, like about, by my incredible powers of estimation. It's like,
It's after lunch.
Yeah. Okay.
But these phone messages aren't dated.
Yeah. I'm calling the lieutenant real fast, and then maybe I'll call the office first.
Call the office first?
I'll call the lieutenant first.
Okay.
See if I can get
There's
him to pick
the
up.
police switchboard to navigate. And then a kind of gruff voice answers, saying, "Oh, just a second, gents. Getting a call."
I don't know, Smalls. You think I'm going to be fired? I wonder if I still have a job, Smalls.
Yeah, I can't talk. I mean, we can talk. I can't talk as Smalls right now because we're not in the same space, but I'm wondering if you can probably sweet talk your way back into your editor's good graces. I'm sure Terrence McSweeney can convince his editor that to take him off the payroll would be a bad idea.
Considering the incredible amounts of revenue coming into the paper due to my
Right. Well, you may not be, the front page byline every time, but I'm sure they still rely on you for lots of filler. You're the backbone. You might not be the name in I don't know, 15-point font on the front, but somebody has to write up all those obituary notices, and somebody has to write up all those lost cat columns, and
the lorem ipsum.
Yeah, all of that. That's right.
All that text, right. All the nonsense text.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, when Leechmere has a sale, someone's got to help draft the ad text. You're their man Friday. You're there in a pinch when they need someone to go out somewhere and track something down in their precious, precious front pager can't be bothered. But somebody's got to do it. You're the unsung hero.
And then, bet your Roger might have work for me too. Geez, what's the worst thing could possibly happen? Changing career.
Watch that guy's Kool-Aid. He sounds culty to me.
Oh, I don't know. I think it might be a good thing.
All these strange religions and new ideas, Trust in the old things. Trust in the the dusty old books and the dusty old antiques. They're solid.
You heard him? People helping people in the community. People and future.
Sounds communistic.
I don't know.
Sounds like the Bolsheviks.
I don't know, people in the future. I think that's the new thing. I think I'll be all right.
I say keep your feet in the here and now and watch out for those types. They'll listen to them too long. You don't know. They'll have you coming and going, and you won't know what's going on.
I don't know, man. Just when you start to grab your own destiny, your job calls us to say you're going to be fired. Anyhow, thanks for
That's
for the
all right.
encouragement.
Hey, anytime.
Thanks for the encouragement.
You go give that editor what for.
I'm going to do that right now, as soon as I call the cops. Back in the switchboard.
So after navigating the police switchboard, you hear a kind of rough voice on the other end of the line who's saying, "Detectives?"
Yeah, Terrence McSweeney. I was looking for Lieutenant Washburn, Gabriel Washburn. He'd be expecting my call.
He's out of the office at this time. Is there a message?
Oh God. No, it's okay. Tell him I called. Tell him I have some information for him. Nothing major. Just wanted to touch base.
Understood. Terrence McSweeney called. Call back. Okay.
Yeah, thanks. So I hang up. Okay, great. Dial my editor real fast.
There's the newspaper switchboard to navigate. And then Ethel's voice.
Ethel. McSweeney here.
Oh, you're finally calling in.
I wasn't at my place. I didn't see the messages.
Uh-huh. Well, you don't have much time.
Great. I suppose I got to come in, huh?
Clock's
All right,
ticking.
Ethel. All right, Ethel. Fine. Thanks for the help.
Wear a tie.
Okay. Thanks for the tip. See you soon.
Hangs up.
Great. All right, I'm gonna trudge up to my room just to make sure I get my best tie, which is not a great tie, but it's my best one.
Meanwhile, on Newberry Street.
On Newberry Street, yes.
Even though it's Sunday, your new neighbors are moving in. Or at least their moving men are moving in.
All right. I will keep a casual watch on the new neighbors or the workmen moving things in, more out of professional habits than anything else.
To that end, there is a fine-looking young man. Well-cut clothes, cuts a dashing figure. He's partly regarding himself in the mirror. Not the mirror, the window of your shop. Right? Partly looking at his own reflection, but partly trying to peer through the curtains that you've drawn across your display window to try to see what's inside the antique store.
Okay. Dashing figure. Youngish, older? What?
Oh, yes. Young, very fashionable cut of suit.
Yeah.
Little mustache, right? Hair, slicked shoes, polished.
Okay. Well.
You see the fine chain of his pocket watch in his glorious waistcoat.
All right. Well, Alfred will open up the window of his shop, not like that, so that the shutter you can see the wares. You can't get into the shop, but it's Sunday, so
He taps on the glass.
commercially. All right, I will open the door and say, hello there. Hello there, new neighbor. How can I help you?
Are you Mr. Smalls?
Indeed I am. Smalls Antiques. Nice to
My
meet you.
name is Robert Pickman. That's his handle.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Pickman.
I'm looking for something in a chaise longue or maybe a divan.
I might have just the thing. You're welcome to come in. We can't do the blue laws prohibit me from actually doing any commercial business on a Sunday, but you're quite welcome to come in and take a look at what we might have here in the shop. In fact, I've got this beautiful midnight blue chaise lounge that just came in maybe a month ago. See, it's quality mahogany wood, and then it's sewn in with the nice diamond pattern. And looking at you, it could even accommodate you've got some height, and it could even accommodate your length.
It's not for me. It's for a young lady for my art.
Very, very good. Oh, for your art, are you? Please come in. Please come in. Can I get you a cup of tea or coffee?
Tea. Yes.
Oh, very good.
Yes. Tea.
All right. Very good. Smalls keeps in addition to what he's got upstairs, he does keep, like, in his little back room, he does have like a little hot plate for tea and coffee, and just a box of crackers, cookies, mostly for just nibbling on while he's downstairs. But he'll quickly kind of rustle up a small assortment of cookies and get the tea on the boil, right, and bring such things out to Mr. Pickman.
So as you come back out, he's just walking as you can, between the various pieces of furniture,
Yep.
running his fingers on some or feeling the brocade on something else and looking at the books, but mostly focused on the furniture.
Sure.
And, so this roll top desk, I've seen that sigil before. It kind of ruins the piece, don't you think?
Well, it is a little odd, but I got the piece at a fairly was a fire sale, to be quite open with you. And so at the price it was going for, I thought I would pick it up, and it barely, it was not damaged by the fire or the water. So I thought, well, I'd if I could take it in and perhaps make a small commission on it, then so much the better. What do you know of these engravings?
Well, really nothing. I've seen it on a few headstones in the cemetery.
Oh, yeah. Oh, really? Okay. Well, you might have given me some lead. I'd like to. Could you any particular headstones? Do you recall if you don't mind my being so bold as to ask? Do you?
You think I
recall?
would? You'd think I would, because I spent so long painting the headstones. You're welcome to come over to. Well, maybe you wouldn't want to go to the gallery.
Oh well.
I have just the thing. Wait. Takes a tea.
Yep.
And he bustles out of the shop, and then he bellows in a manly way, kind of a commanding way. Right. Thurber! And then there's a kind of a quiet. What? From a distance. The gallery book. If there's an answer, street noise clouds it, but Pickman comes back into the shop, and not too long after, the gentleman you met earlier, mustache, comes in bearing a book. The works of Robert Upton Pickman.
Oh, very nice, very nice. Let me take a look at this. But first, Mr. Thurber, perhaps I can make it tea for 3. Can I get you a cup?
Absolutely, thank you.
Wonderful. And there are some cubes of sugar here and a little bit of cream, if anybody takes it with such accoutrements. And hustle off.
We're not used to that luxury, are we, Thurber? Thurber's like, well, I'm not, but obviously you are.
Well, please do indulge. And I've got some cookies here.
Pickman seems to be a 3-cube guy. Thurber takes his tea as God intended, in a cup.
Fair enough. I will page politely through the. I actually will be paying attention, but I'll be paging through it very politely and carefully, so as not to. If this is the only gallery book that he has, I don't want to inadvertently tear a page or something. I'm going to be very appreciative of the artifact and carefully.
The images are quite small. The images are quite small, and they are in black and white, but you can see that the recurring style is more of a realistic sense, almost photographic in nature, and of a study of life. So a young, probably mother, for example, with child, right, wearing long flowing dress reminiscent of bridal wear, right, but striding through the graveyard. He indicates that photo of that painting, and he says, there, in that part of the cemetery.
Very good. Very good.
You can tell because of the mausoleum in the back with the broken angel.
I'll try to fix it in my mind. And I'm thinking of Smalls is thinking of a couple of the very old burial grounds in Boston. So there's only a couple where it could possibly be. So he'll ask Pickman, could this be the Copse Hill burial ground, or perhaps this is the old granary?
That one. Yes.
Okay. Very good. Copse Hill.
I spent weeks squatting in there.
Well, your efforts paid off. This is indeed exceptional work. You bring such lifelike qualities. I feel as if I could, even in this small image, I feel like I could reach out and touch your subjects.
Well, there will be a display. Thurber can give you the details when they're set, but it won't be long.
Well, that is wonderful.
I'm honored. I'll take the chaise longue.
Oh my goodness!
I will come back on a day when you can legally sell it to me.
Yeah. Tomorrow is Monday.
But maybe you'd be willing to let it be moved by the gentleman hired for that purpose, who happened to be here now.
Absolutely. That's absolutely. Yeah, I was just going to recommend that very thing. You've got some husky fellows out there. I'm sure they could easily accommodate this rather bulky piece of furniture. Yes, I'll
He steps
draw up.
in. He steps in
Yeah.
real close, manly handshake, hand on shoulder, real close. Good doing business with him. Glad we're neighbors.
Indeed. Same
Sweeps
here.
out.
All right.
Thurber says, I think
yeah.
you were going to say something about paperwork.
Yes, Mr. Thurber, and I'll draw something up. I can't have it finalized until tomorrow, Monday, but uh, I'm
9
sure
a.m.
that 9 a.m. Yes, and I'm sure that Mr. Pickman and yourself will find it to be a very fair and reasonable price. And I will. I'm not going to try to upcharge this guy. In fact, I kind of rather like his theatrical ways, and he's my neighbor, so I'm yeah. And Smalls is fundamentally an honest person. He's not going to try to take this guy's. He'll give him in his professional estimation a fair price for this. Even maybe even just shave slightly a little bit off, so that he's still making a profit, but it's a kind, it's not an embarrassing kindness. He doesn't want to embarrass his client, but he'll charge just enough to make it okay. Yeah, this is a professional rate, professional sale, but it's not a gouge in any way.
All right.
So yeah. So as to cultivate he knows he may be laying the groundwork for a relationship, a client relationship. So he wants to be scrupulous about it. So he'll draw everything up. If Thurber wants, I don't want to hold Thurber hostage, but he'll, just do everything very transparent. He'll put everything out there and get
Thurber
the
just
triplicate
checks the
form.
price and then excuses himself.
Yep.
And leaves you alone in the shop. And we will cut back across town, down toward the south end. And Terrence McSweeney and his tie.
Getting the best tie I got. Not phenomenal, but yeah, okay. All right, gonna head down. Go see the editor. Get this thing over with. Walk in. Walk past Ethel.
Right. Ethel says, wait. He's in with someone. And she hits the intercom, hear a buzz in the room. She goes, Mr. Standish, McSweeney has arrived. You hear Corman Standish's voice as he says to Ethel through the intercom in a jovial tone, send him in.
I give Ethel a look.
She gives
this is going to be good. Give her that look of a doubt.
Surreptitiously, she holds out a breath mint.
Pop it in my mouth. And I stride in, Mr. Standish.
The office is very long. Impressive window behind the desk overlooking other buildings. Deep carpet. The walls are paneled, basically, in framed front pages, dating back. There are 2 chairs in front of the monumental desk, which is piled up with all kinds of papers and articles and the like. Against the far wall, there's a bar, not obviously stocked with alcohol, but instead with fruit drinks and other libations, with a sofa and sitting chairs. But standing next to the monumental desk is the editor, Corman Standish. Got his sleeves rolled up, there's a cigar smoking on the desk in an ashtray, right? And he's standing next to the nameless lawyer from the Gavigan estate.
That's right, Mr. Stanish, and then the words stop, and my gate.
As the man turns around, yeah.
my gate slows a little bit, and I just keeps drying up at that point.
I would like you to meet William Ames.
Oh man, Mr. Ames.
He's the official counsel for the Gavigan Foundation.
Mr. Ames.
He tells me that he's very impressed with your work.
I was not aware of that, but thank you.
Ames, is it a smile or is it a shadow? It's hard to tell because it's very true. And I came to ask Corman here if you'd be willing to write a piece on the charitable works of my employer, Albert Gavigan. He assured me that you would be thrilled.
Absolutely.
There's a hard glint in Standish's eye because maybe they've been waiting in this office for quite some time.
Of course, I really just got the message, so.
Well, then, would this afternoon be acceptable?
Sure, absolutely. I'll get right on.
He extends his hand to your editor. Thank you, Corman. Thanks are exchanged. And Ames starts walking toward the door, promising that they'll golf soon.
Do you want me to come with you now, Mr. Ames?
Yes, sir. Wasn't that understood? Yes, please come with me.
Of course. So I glance back at my editor and just kind of raise my eyes a little bit, and I kind of look at him like indicating to him, we need to talk, and then run around, follow Ames. I keep my mouth shut for the most part, for right now.
My car's out front. Now, of course, out front is a no parking zone.
Of course.
It's a long and beautiful piece of machinery. There's a driver, someone to open the door. There's a secretary inside, right? A young man with a writing desk on his lap, ready at a moment's notice to record anything or start drafting documents. That kind of thing.
Gotcha. But I'm going to wait for him to seat himself, and then I'll take a seat, where I'm obviously supposed to sit.
Yes, facing the wrong way, next to the young man.
Of course. Absolutely. It's going to scooch on there a little bit. All right.
Rolling you back out toward the Gavigan estate.
Well, stranger things have happened.
My apologies, Mr. McSweeney. We were a bit precipitous in our ejection of your group from the home.
Well, it's understandable, absolutely. I mean, Mr. Gavigan was clearly very upset, so,
Yes. But he was even more upset that you had been removed.
Oh, sure.
When we get to the estate, I'm going to take you to his private library. We'll bring him in when he's ready. It may be a lengthy wait. I will be present for your conversation. No one else will be. This conversation will be confidential, although we will provide you with information about our charitable works, and we would appreciate a good article written on them in your paper.
Sure, of course. I can do that. That's not a problem.
All right. If he grows agitated, I ask you to just remain calm. You don't need to communicate with him in any way while he's agitated, and he will calm down. And if it appears he needs medical attention, I will take care of that.
Well, sure, of course. That makes sense. Has he been doing better?
His doctors indicate he should make a physical recovery. There's no infection in the amputation sites. Well, there's a great deal of trauma. And his mental condition remains to be seen.
Oh, that's understandable. That's understandable. He's certainly been through a lot.
Do you know what he has been through?
Not exactly, no. I wish I could tell you, but I really don't understand it myself.
I have seen the photograph.
Oh, yeah. So have I. That's not the half of it. I just look right back down at my notebook and just make a couple other little notes.
I understand your reluctance to speak on these matters, but if it can help me help my employer, there are obvious humanitarian benefits, but there could be expenses paid for your trouble.
And look, I kind of just glance in the direction of the secretary, stenographer. Is it okay to talk now?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure. I don't know what happened. I really don't know. I know that he was, as far as I understand, he was in Driscoll's office. This is from what Driscoll told me. Brought a book to him. Very concerned he wanted these other books found. And then I was outside. There was some flash of light, no sound, nothing, not lightning, not a hallucination or anything. My editor actually asked me to go talk to Driscoll because he thought, he was, he might have something, some kind of story about Gavigan. Maybe Gavigan was doing something, that might be in public interest. You understand?
Yes, there's concern that the foundation is bankrupt.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, he never told me that. And I don't think it's bankrupt.
It isn't.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I'd been to the house. So, he's telling me, I go in and there's no Gavigan there. I didn't even know he was supposed to be there. Eddie's out cold. He's telling me that Albert was there. Then he wasn't. And, I see his shoe on the ground. I see his other foot's in the wall. His shoe's in the wall. He looks, see the other side, and that was pretty horrible. And there's the covers of the book, but no book, no pages. And I kept on having this feeling, though. I kept on hearing something like at first I don't know what it was. Something dragging something dragging something heavy. And then sometimes I'd hear, I thought I was going crazy. I thought I'd hear like somebody in pain or it was insane. But I couldn't, I went to sleep. I couldn't get the Gavigan out of my head. Like I was almost like, I was having nightmares about it. That's what I figured they were, just nightmares. But
rather you feel now there was some sort of entanglement, as we can see from the photo.
I don't know what to believe, but maybe that's crazy, but something, I brought that book to Mr. Smalls because he's an antiquarian. Like he knows about stuff like that, or at least somebody could look at it.
Did he read it?
He perused it. Yeah, I don't know how much of it he read. I guess he reads Latin. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. Not anymore.
Do you have any of the others? They were identical.
No, we don't have any of the others. I don't know where the heck they are. In fact, that was what I was originally trying to figure out when I talked to Eddie afterwards.
Okay. This is a lie. So, could you please roll your fast talk?
Three, and I am not remembering how good I am at that.
Okay.
You must be phenomenal at it. That's not a good. That's a negative.
So, I'm not asking for them back. They do need to be destroyed, and I think now you understand why.
Yeah, listen, I wasn't there, but Small said he tried to burn one of the books, and it couldn't. They couldn't burn it. The book didn't have any pages in it when I first found it, and this sounds crazy, but it had pages in it after a while.
All right.
And it was the whole darn book.
It may be too late for Mr. Smalls.
Well, what do you mean?
You're pulling up to the estate. According to my employer, the books have effects.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I could say that again. Well, listen.
And his inability to destroy the book sounds like one of those effects.
Well, listen. I can't even pretend to understand all that. What I can tell you is that that Smalls and I did a bunch of digging. We found out about this Hermetic Order, the Silver Twilight. I think that's what it's called. That organization that your employer was involved in, and that Edward Call was involved in, and
yes,
and Stanford, whoever
Carl
Stanford, maybe. But this fellow Morgan was also very, very interested in his books. Very interested. And he eventually, met us at the Scott farm. I would say he accosted us at the Scott farm. I should say it would be a better way of putting it. And he was the one that brought back Mr. Gavigan, somehow brought him back with the pages of the book, I guess. And then Smalls had the cover of the book. And this guy was going to do some kind of crazy ritual, and then Smalls, you know, well, I guess he was going to kill Smalls, but Smalls holds a book up, and next thing you know, the book vanishes. I mean, the guy stabs the book, and the book's gone, gone, and then the guy leaves. But this fellow Morgan's still around.
He sits back in the seat.
Aren't you guys concerned about him?
Of course. Of course we are. I'm going to ask you something. Sure. I want you to tell Mr. Gavigan the absolute truth of everything that you have shared or not yet shared with me, except about the disappearance of the book. His mind is too fragile. I believe that he believes. I believe he needs to believe that they can be destroyed. We'll cut back to Newberry Street.
Very good.
There's teacups and a tea service left over, the bill of sale being written up, and the valise.
Okay. Now the valise, refresh my memory. The valise has what in it? Is that the has the notebook?
The valise contains the second growth of pages.
Oh my goodness.
And it's now beginning to create its carapace of covers.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I'm going to drop the bill of sale, keep it carefully off to the side on my desk at the shop, put a nice glass paperweight on top of the bill of sale so it can be finalized first thing on Monday. Smalls will dare to open the valise and take a glance at what may be happening within in a very delicate manner so as not to disrupt what may be happening within. Almost as if it were a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. Smalls does not want to damage the process of transformation, but would like to, if possible, take a little peek to see if indeed that process continues. So he will, very carefully, very angle it so that the light coming in through the window. So we've got very good, so he can open the valise to the barest degree and not have shadows necessitate him opening it clumsily even further. So he will do this with utmost caution.
The cover, you can see hints of it at the base of the valise, but it hasn't fully, reached its full, wrap around and strapped around size. So the gutter of the book is tightly together, but the ends of the pages are kind of opened like flower petals against the walls of the valise. So you can see inside it's kind of opened a little bit. And on this panel, the right hand leaf, is a full page sketch of someone in formal regalia standing amidst bones, conversing, the posture says that they are conversing with a spirit. And the phrase of Latin that you can see, right? Commanding the dead to reveal their secrets.
Okay. Okay. Smalls is reminded of picture of I think it was the court sorcerer D, the English court sorcerer who was a famed necromancer, and there's a plate of him raising a specter. So he'll take a good look at that, and then he will carefully close the book again, or close the valise, so the book is free to do what it wants to do.
And there's that rustle.
Yeah.
On a deeper note, not like crumpling paper, but more like wood swaying in the breeze, that creaking sound of wood under stress.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll let that be. Smalls was going to give it a friendly little tap, but does not want to disturb the process. We'll let it be. And he's also kind of freaked out. Actually, I think this might be a good time for Smalls, if I may be so bold. He may want to make a sanity check.
You may want to make a sanity check for Smalls. I have no argument.
Right. I'm the fly on the wall watching Smalls doing this. And I'm thinking, yeah, this is
too much.
It's too much. It's a creepy, organic, yeah, I'm gonna just make that roll.
There's one more detail before you make this roll.
Okay.
You've been crawling around in tunnels underneath the Scott farm. You've been exposed to violence. Your hand was burned not very long ago. But as you're closing the valise, the burn is gone. Scuffed knuckles and the sore flesh from the iron rungs, right, of the ladder is gone. Even the liver spots that your doctor keeps talking to you about, associated with your weight and your diet and your shut-in lifestyle, right? Even these liver spots that have appeared with age have vanished from your young and healthy flesh.
All right. Well, Smalls is disturbed at this, but he's also a bit thrilled that he has developed some form, or thinks he has. He's not sure if he's going crazy or not, or what's going on. So but there's a little wild thrill, if maybe I'm myself metamorphosizing into something younger and handsomer than the Smalls that forever has been the pudgy boy that get picked on in the schoolyard, and the kind of the doting aunt that yet kind of cut him with cruel remarks on his size. And could it be that somehow he's gotten himself, for all that the weirdness that it might do to him, it might also be making him, leaner, stronger, better. He's kind of got a glimmering of hope, and but he doesn't want to hope too much, because he's like, that's usually when you get knocked down again. In his world, he's anytime he's dared to think that the pretty girl looked his way, it was always, a joke. Or,
Yes.
anytime he dared to think he could be more than just the nondescript large man in the corner. Anyway,
Hope
he
is often the
hope.
doorway to despair.
Right, right. So he's sort of remarking on his healing qualities. He's disturbed by it, but there's also this wild kind of, this is one hot wire of kind of, wait a minute, this could work for me. But that also frightens him, that he has that thought. So he's a jumble of him. I'm going to say his hands are probably shaking slightly as he's regarding his miraculously healed knuckles and looking for spots and that aren't there anymore. I think he'd probably be literally like sort of shaking a little bit. And then what's happening with the book is certainly abnormal as well.
Yeah.
So it is time for me to see what happens with good Mr. Smalls.
Yeah.
In the quiet of the shop, he gets an 18 on his dice roll, and he has a 58 sanity, so that would be a pass. He
It
passes his
remains
roll.
unchanged. The thrill outweighing the horror.
Okay.
Now, at the Gavigan estate, the footman comes down from the house. The valet or whatever it is these rich people call their servants gets out of the passenger side, right? And the two of them together open, the opposing doors on the side of the limousine, and you're once again invited to enter the home. You're swept through dark hallways. These are wood paneled hallways on thick carpets. You can't hear your footfalls. You can see signs of servants in various occupations out of the corner of your eye, like dusting one large ballroom and carrying a tray off somewhere else as you move through. And you're taken to the back of the house to a private study and just ushered right in. And then the two of you are left alone to wait. Like some tea or coffee?
Yeah, sure. Coffee would be great. Thanks, I appreciate it.
So he makes no movement, right? But a maid wheels in the silver tea and coffee service just on that instant.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
And she places it in a spot where it's clearly intended to go, next to the wall, and says, "Help yourself." Then he seats himself in one of the many armchairs. There's a drawing table and reading stands and lots of armchairs and a couple of love seats. There's a huge fireplace, but the commanding feature of the room, other than the bookshelves, is an extended glass, like reading nook. It's all glassed in and wrought iron, filigree and leaves and all kinds of decorative treatments. And it's mostly half of an octagon. Right? And all along the outside edge of the windows is a padded bench, where children could read or play, or someone could sit and look out at the maze and drink their coffee or whatever.
Right. So I'm gonna just pour myself a cup of coffee, throw a couple lumps in it, take it over to the area, kind of look out on the maze itself, and we're waiting for Gavigan, and some streams. It's Albert's brother was part of that order as well, wasn't he?
Well, yes, he was.
And he's been I look and I was like, listen, I'm not looking to put anything in the paper or anything like that, but he's been out of the public eye for a long time.
Yes, he has.
Is he okay?
The family hasn't heard from Edward Gavigan for a number of years. The last we heard, he had taken ship for England.
Gosh, you'd think it'd be easy enough to locate there if you.
Well, with our resources, definitely. And we found signs that someone had assumed his identity.
What do you mean? Like an imposter?
Yes. Not publicly claiming to be the Edward Gavigan of Boston, Massachusetts, but someone using his bank accounts and business contacts.
Oh, I gotcha. I understand. And he's just kind of been.
He met an untimely end.
The imposter?
From the family's point of view, a not timely enough end. Yes, the imposter.
Yeah. Right, but real. I mean, Albert's brother. On the other hand, you
no
just
sign,
haven't.
but given
No
this, I'm in the process of declaring him dead.
No, I understand. I'm sorry to hear that. And this Carl Stanford fella,
Yeah, his face is normally impassive. There's a hardness there. He says yes.
Well, he from what I could understand, because I mean I did a lot of research on the instance of several years ago. He seems to have just disappeared. One of the only fellas, I think, that escaped any kind of, I don't know what you'd call it.
Well, that seems to be his stock in trade.
Right.
I want you to understand that you can tell me anything, Mr. McSweeney. And so I've prepared a file for you. And so he's actually giving you a document folder, right? That accordions out, and it's all sealed up, closed, with the twine hook wraps around.
Right. Yeah.
He passes this to you. He says, and the long and the short of this is that Carl Stanford has been wreaking havoc in this area for almost 200 years. There are documents here of abductions of children tied to him. There are documents here linking him to early problems of witchcraft at the Scott farm. There are documents here, of course, where he is an active member of the Hermetic Order of the Silver Twilight. The spelling of the name changes, but it's always the same name. The arrogance of the man to use the name. And that's him in that photograph over there with the two brothers taken out in that maze as he lived here off of their generosity, perpetrating horrors underground, I believe initially damaging the mental health of Albert, and these days I'm growing to suspect more and more leading to the death of Edward, and then escaping all prosecution.
So I'm just kind of going up to the picture to kind of take a good look at that. Not this fellow.
Now, you've seen this fellow before. You've got a ruined photograph.
Right, yeah. Yeah. Because you when you say 200 years, I mean somebody keeps using that name. Right?
Yes, the same man keeps using the name. I believe it. I know it sounds crazy, as you've said often enough, but consider everything else you have described. How crazy is immortality, really?
And I almost slammed my coffee cup down, and then I stopped myself, realizing I don't want to slam it and spill coffee here. And it's like, so I put it down. I was like, and I, with my other hand, I kind of whacked. What are you talking? This is insane. Everything that I've seen. People just can't live for 200 years. Books can't just grow their pages back.
But they do. I've seen the book grow its pages back. I have shredded the books. I have burned the books at the orders of my employer, but apparently I'm not the one that will make this destruction stick. I'm not an occultist, Mr. McSweeney. I don't understand. I'm just trying to do the best that I can for my employer. I delivered the books to the auction house.
Were they all the same book?
They're all the same book, but according to my employer, there's a true book.
Yeah, I heard that one before.
And then the copies, each successive copy grows more and more dangerous.
So then which one's the true book? Does anybody know?
I believe that Albert would recognize the true book were he to see it. And I know that if he brought a book to the confidential investigator, Mr. Driscoll, it would have been the true book and not a copy. He was adamant to the point of ferocity that no one handle the false books until he commanded me to set up the fake auction.
The fake auction?
Yes.
So, I understand. So what? So who stole the books? Do we know? You don't know. And why?
The auction was set up to be, coming soon as an attraction. And then mysteriously, the books were stolen by the O'Shaughnessy's so that the books could be delivered to Dr. Call. So Dr. Call could destroy them in the prescribed manner where I had failed, where my employer had failed.
Well, it didn't work out so good for him either.
No, because they were betrayed.
By who?
Your mysterious Mr. Morgan, sowing his seeds of temptation in the very nest of the family. You may not know this, but the Calls and the O'Shaughnessy's are related by marriage.
Yeah,
The Gavigans and the O'Shaughnessy's are related by blood.
Didn't know that. I don't think I heard that.
And that detail is not to get out. But you need to know that these sorts of things are very important to the people that we're dealing with. Bloodlines and dates of birth, and marks on the skin.
Yeah, that Morgan fella, I don't know what he did. Was chloroform or Mickey, something like that. He knocked me and the photographer, my friend McGinnis, out, and we came to. We had some kind of marks on us. When he talked to us, he said he owned us now.
Your words are hitting Ames like hammers, right? He's just sliding down in the chair, the colors coming out of his face.
Oh, come on. You said I could tell you anything. I'm telling you anything. And I'm as he's looking distraught, I'm starting to unwrap the twine of the big accordion file.
It's too late now. If you're under his control, if you're under his thumb, my hand has been shown. And at this inopportune time, Gavigan is wheeled in by his attendant. And we'll cut back to Newbury Street.
The valise is doing its, well, what's going on inside the valise frightens Alfred Smalls, as does his realization of his physicality has somehow been affected by these occult adventures.
There's a knock at the door, which sets the bell jingling.
All right, that's enough to get him to stop looking at the liver spots between his thumb and his forefinger. And he will turn his attention to the entrance to the shop.
It's young Mr. O'Riordan.
Ah, good to see you, Thomas. Come in.
Good to see you.
How fare your friends?
Well, his face falls. It doesn't look good, Mr. Smalls. There's fighting in the family. Mickey's trying to take over, and Morgan is taking over. I brought you some donuts.
Oh, that's wonderful. Never say no to donuts. Thank you.
You know, he turns away, and you know, there's this motion you see behind his
yeah. I'll plunge into the bag of donuts, using that as an, to make sure I'm not noticing, so he can have his moment and not think he's been observed. I'll be commenting on the chocolate glazed.
So he heads directly to the valise.
Oh, okay. Smalls will immediately lose interest for the moment in the donuts.
Careful there, Thomas.
And kind of gently, put a couple of hands on him and just sort of kind of,
you might not want to touch that right now.
I'm really sorry, Mr. Smalls, but I have to take it.
Where? To whom?
I'm not going to tell you, Mr. Smalls. I just have to take it, and I need you to let me go.
I think that might be some kind of a power roll, or sanity roll or something, because I don't know if Smalls would have the self-control to be able to just let him leave with it.
Then argue with him.
uh, all right. He's arguing with himself. That's the thing. Smalls is before he can argue with Tommy, he has to see if he can master his own self.
All right.
So that's why I was going to reach for the dice.
Well, so he has his hand on the handle. Smalls has his hands on the bag. Right.
Right.
So his hands are in between. Right. Do I let him go? Do I not let him go?
Right.
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 There's that push.
Yeah.
Pull.
Yeah.
And yes, please give me a roll of power.
Okay.
You feel the cold grip of fear that the book might be taken away from you, and what else might that take away from you?
Right. And yet but yet he is fond of Thomas, and he does not want to get into a conflict with him. So here we go. So there's a part of him that wants to step away. There's a part of him that wants to. It's like Frodo in the ring. When Gandalf says, leave it. Let's see if he can leave it.
So I'm asking, are you? This is on the resistance table. You are the active participant.
Okay.
Your power versus something else I don't feel like revealing at this.
Okay.
But success for you means keeping it or letting it go.
Success means letting it go. Means mastery of self.
Excellent. Let's find out.
Okay. He has a power score, Smalls does, of 12. So I'm going to roll the percentile, and we will see what we shall see. That is a 68. 68 on the dice.
Okay. Becomes obvious when the young, strong man begins to lift the valise off. The hands are not releasing. The heart is willing, but something else is weak.
Yeah.
And that's when Tommy's face changes, his voice changes, his eyes changes. In a very harsh and commanding tone, says, Alfred Smalls let go of my book. You have no idea what torment I can place on this boy. I wrote it. It's mine. Surrender it.
That's shocking.
Pulls it from your grasp.
Can I struggle to hold like a strength?
Yes, sure. Roll it.
Just
Again,
to see if,
resistance table.
Okay. His strength is a whole whopping 4. So, and that's 79 on the percentage.
So, the strength of the boy is no doubt healthy. But Smalls, you're dragged up onto the counter.
Yeah.
Before it's torn from your grasp.
All right.
He turns on his heel and is walking out slowly. He has no need now to flee. He's walking out slowly.
All right. Smalls is going to go for a tackle. He is going to, he thinks momentarily of picking an umbrella or a walking cane he's got a number of them, with the little paper tag for sale and the string. He's got the umbrellas and the canes and all that. And he just for a moment, he thinks, I could brain him from behind, knock him out. But he's like, he's not going to do that because that's still, whatever that was, it's still Thomas is in there somewhere. But he will use his bulk to just blunder into the retreating form that is sort of sauntering, down the narrow length of the shop, and he will just kind of do a clumsy tackle of sorts, just sort of a big bulky man going low to see if he can get him around the knees and just kind of bind him up and have him, so.
He
Is that
nimbly sidesteps.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
Let's find out if it's nimble enough.
Oh, okay. Is this grapple? Is this okay? I didn't put any points in that, so
this will be excellent.
Well, that is an 11 on the grapple, and grapple per the character sheet is 25%.
25.
Yeah.
Okay. He nimbly sidesteps into the space opened by the divan's removal. So the dive impact with the floor of the shop. You're looking under all the furniture as you come to a rest. Tommy's voice pleading, "Don't get up, Mr. Smalls, please." And the shop bell rings as the door closes.
All right.
We cut back to the Gavigan estate.
Yes, Smalls is left with his forehead on the linoleum, like. Oh.
I stand up when Mr. Gavigan gets wheeled in.
So does Ames. Right?
Yeah.
And he looks weaker than he did earlier in the day. Still some shaking. Right, his bandages have been changed right on his hand and on his leg. And, the valet or whoever secures the chair, locks the wheel, checks everything's okay, and then steps out.
So I kind of pull up a chair to be alongside him rather than standing over him.
Ames holds up a finger, and he leans in, and he looks at you and says, "We'll have to keep our voices low. Mr. McSweeney has just told me he was branded by Morgan, and Morgan refers to him as his own."
Who alive belong to me.
Gavigan kind of slumps. There's nothing we will say that he does not know. I'm sorry for your loss, Mr. McSweeney.
Thank you. Thanks. Thanks for having me back, Mr. Gavigan.
Could I see the mark?
Yeah, sure. I really haven't looked at it too much myself, so I just take the tie off, start unbuttoning my shirt, and I'm kind of slowly open it and take a look.
You woke in a circle?
Yeah, as a matter of fact. Guinness and I woke up. They knocked us out somehow. We were outside their warehouse down the dock, and then came to. And it was freezing, and we had all our clothes off, and in a circle surrounded by just a bunch of junk, really.
This is a ritual in the book. It tells us that Morgan has access to the book. This mark makes you another pair of eyes and ears for the caster of this ritual. He sees what you see, he hears what you hear.
Well, okay. So
the spell can be broken, but it's painful. And it's not without sacrifice.
What do you have to do?
You have to focus your will and make a clear demonstration that you are not the vessel for another's intention, which is a high-sounding way of saying, by using there's no better word for it, the magic of ancient times, and being a manly man, you dig out your own eye. Just one. You don't have to give up both of them.
That takes care of the ears too?
Yeah, fortunately.
Okay, well let's just table that for a second. Like walk right over to the coffee service and pour myself another cup of coffee, just like completely breaking any kind of code of conduct. You're talking to one of your betters. Okay. So let's just say
he looks really sad.
Let's just say we put that on the back burner for a second there, if you don't mind, Mr. Gavigan. What can I do for you? What do you?
I had hoped that Mr. Driscoll could track down and steal for me the books. I felt he would be a match for... I was having difficulty breathing, right? Yeah. So I felt he would be a match for that Mickey. But Mickey is farther gone than I thought, and his crony, Malone, and they've fallen in with Morgan. They're no longer human.
What do you mean?
Do you really want the details?
Well, at this point, yeah, sure. I mean, nothing's going to surprise me. Well, I suppose it would surprise me, but I mean, we saw. Well, no, you gave up first.
They gave up their lives. He gave them back. They have come back changed. And they feed on the life of living men. They are stronger. They are more capable. And no barrier, door, wall can stop them.
I saw Mickey the Fist, or what looks like Mickey the Fist, a couple days ago, but he looked like he was like 40 years younger, 30, 40 years younger. I just figured it was one of his kids.
No. Well, maybe. He has many.
Right.
But he would be younger. Yes. And stronger.
No. He did have one hell of a left hook. But Smalls actually gave him a run for his money. But when we were in that warehouse, when McGinnis and I were in that warehouse, we woke up. There was a couple old, decrepit guys in circles like that too. One looked dead, and one of them got up and almost bit me.
Yes, to drain your life from you. This was Ludwig Prin's first failed investigation into immortality. It was successful in achieving immortality, but rather unsuccessful in that it transforms the benefactor into a blood-drinking, flesh-eating, life-draining monster with, much to Prin's horror, who could accept all of those other things, poor control over his emotions and drives.
Like, that's crazy. Vampires aren't. Never mind.
Yes,
I'm not even going to
sure.
say it.
A vampire. Sure. Yes. Because Edward Driscoll, I understand, is in the hospital and is due to be, if I'm sure Mr. Ames's information is correct, soon to be committed to Danvers Mental Hospital.
Jeez, I gotta go see him.
He cannot help me.
Well,
and given your branding, I'm not certain you can help me either, but someone must get and destroy the books, and it was to be someone like you.
Like me? What do you mean?
Someone of the blood.
What blood?
Someone born on the right day. Someone close to the street. Is it in the file? He says to Ames, and Ames says, yes, it's in the file. There is a prophecy, Mr. McSweeney. There's always a prophecy.
What's the prophecy?
That someone like you would destroy the books. Maybe not you, but someone like you could finally lay Ludwig Prin to rest.
His legacy to rest.
No. He lives on in the true book.
Just reflexively just kind of gulp my coffee down, scalding myself. For a second, I was going to ask you where.
We'll draw the curtain on tonight's episode.
That was wonderful. That was great. That was a fun.
Where can I get me one of them books, man? Because I tell you, You know?
Got some liver spots.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
you know, man. I don't
Don't
know.
waste your
There's a
time at
trade-off.
the gym.
There's a
Don't waste, you
trade-off.
know. Yeah.
So you
All
liked
those
this
fat
episode, did you?
diets.
This session?
I did. I
Sounds
did. I
fun.
liked it. I liked the bouncing back and forth. And it's gonna be I had to put myself on mute because I kept wanting to interject and like make comments on things as they were happening, but I didn't want to disrupt that. I'm not there. It's not my character's not there. I got to be quiet. So the challenge will now be for me. We'll have to get the two characters together to compare notes because I'll wanna react and act on some of the things that Ivan's character learned and maybe, some of the things that happened at the shop today, you'd want to be aware of as well as Terrence.
I'm not sure. I think the high point of the session for me was when Smalls rolls an 11, and even though it ends up in a failure, I'm thinking, who is this guy? That every possible time he gets into a physical altercation, the least likely guy in the world.
I know, yeah. Yeah, I know.
Who
He
is Alfred Smalls?
finds himself doing some crazy thing. Well, his life was very specific until this whole episode. So you sauntered into his life with these
It's my fault. Yeah, my fault.
yeah, right, with all these crazy stories of
love can move mountains.
Right.
Right.
We're just not sure. Like, I think at this point, McSweeney's just not sure because, like, which method pays off better? The holding his cards to, close to his vest. Does that pay off better, or now his new method of singing like a canary? I'm like, I don't know. This is really kind of not working out so well either.
Do you remember? I may have said this before. I don't know if because my memory sometimes can be like a screen door and a lot gets through. But Ivan, do you remember? And Anthony, do you remember a character, Carl Kolchak?
Yeah, we talked about Kolchak.
Did we? Okay. Yeah. The Night Stalker, right? Yeah. Terrence, Ivan, when you mentioned like, do you hold your cards? Do you sing like a bird? I'm thinking of Kolchak, who often would sing like a bird. And to anybody that he thought would listen, he was a wonderful
like Mulder
crusader.
in a way.
Yeah. Like Mulder. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, just at this point, though, McSweeney's just he's not sure what to make of anything, at this point. And so none of these things can be true. None of these things can be true. I mean, we've seen these things. There's got to be some clearly. There's something that really explains all this.
Yeah.
Or there's some way that this, but. And if I could just get a little bit more sleep, maybe a couple more days of sleep,
This gets into meta mechanics, and I don't want to. I'm kind of a system. I can get pulled into being a systems monkey, and some people just don't want to talk. If this shut me down, if this is getting too systems crazy, like just let me know. I'll be like, oh, we don't want to talk about that. I get it. But I've often thought in games like this, there is a sanity metric, and it's a mechanical representation of your character acknowledging a different reality and kind of losing oneself to that other reality and leaving behind normal, quote unquote, normalcy.
The consensual reality.
Yeah, the agreed upon framework of our lives. And in so many games that I've played of mythos horror, mythos mysteries, the characters end up doing quote unquote crazy things in the course of their investigations, in the course of their experiences, such that any non-player character looking on from the street or from the sidelines would say that person is crazy. that person is doing crazy things. And Ivan, when you say, is it Terrence McSweeney's role now to sing and be someone who's throwing out there all these things that are happening? Like somebody's going to listen to him and say, this guy is nuts.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I think the people I'm saying to are people that
they have
it's
experience.
clearly
Right.
they've had some experience. So,
Right.
like, I mean,
Yes.
the closest, the biggest leap of faith really was to the officer. But at this point,
Yeah.
even the lieutenant,
right.
I got the feeling the lieutenant probably knew more than he was, you know.
Right, which I totally understand and get that. I don't, it's not a like a, no, I get that. But imagine you were the gardener trimming the hedges.
Outside the window, yeah.
Right.
Outside the window, you would say this person, if they believe this, is Lulu.
Oh, absolutely.
And I've often, yeah, and the same thing with Smalls and the same. So I'm wondering, I guess this is where I get into like meta and mechanics. I wonder if games like Cthulhu need a sanity metric in the sense that your characters do wilder and wilder things, or their reality changes. And I'm not advocating in the here and now, let's ignore our sanity rules. No, not at all. Not at all. We're
Right.
doing great.
It's a question. It's a system mattering question.
Yeah, yeah. Right. Does system matter, or how does? Yeah, does insanity kind of take care of itself in these kinds of games as you kind of
the
do
observation
things?
I would make is that the characters' actions or their conversations about their realizations, like, you know, it has to be a ghost, or, you know, the thing is possessed, or they're alien creatures living in the hills, or whatever.
The book is repairing itself. It has a soul and it's repairing itself. Right.
All of these things are the experiences of witnesses.
Right.
But we're playing the characters. And so for us to have that little sting, that ability, that spark for you know, an actual feeling where we can get some empathy with the character in the situation, so it's easier to be I in the situation, not he in the situation. I think a simple method like a percentile roll with a pass or a fail helps us in that way. It's just one more hook into imagination. So
yeah,
we're seeing the decreasing number, which represents increasing stress.
Right.
It's not going crazy. When we get to 0, the character's going crazy, and the game master takes them over because they're not going to behave in a fully comprehensible way anymore. But you've got control all the way down to 0. Right? Your stress level's getting higher. Sometimes you're going to lose more than the right amount of sanity, and like Terrence McSweeney, you're going to be afflicted with a more lasting condition, such as paranoia.
I still got to go see my Father Flanagan, but I just it's gonna be time. But
right. So that's my 2 cents. Ivan, I cut you off.
I think, I mean, it's being my first time using this particular system. I'm also looking like, McSweeney starts out with a rather robust 65, so he's, is better put together than a lot of people. I mean, he's, so when he doesn't get as easily, knocked off kilter, like the stressors are going to, not going to push him. The weevil won't wobble quite so much, if you will. But I can feel him, just that kind of underlying level of stress get a little bit more and a little bit more. And, I keep on seeing him as this fellow that, like, the truth is really, really important to him, regardless of what it is. However, it's like, it was like, I married you for better or worse, not this. And this is that kind of moment, like, I'm into the truth is really important, but I don't think this is exactly what I was thinking about. And, that's sort of like, okay, I'm going to keep on walking this direction. Boy, I'm really not liking what I'm, there's that warring, one is like, yes, I want to know what the truth is, and the other one is like, I'm really not sure if I really well know this. Do you open this? Do you look at I think he's got that thing going on the whole time where he's walking step by step down the hallway, and there's that voice speaking to him a little bit louder, like, just turn around. Just turn around and go the other way. And it's small, but it's there. Just turn around. Just go the other way. And so he's having these ridiculous conversations with people, talking about things which absolutely cannot be true, but he's seen these things. And so hopefully at some point, he's not thinking, now, if this was a completely different game, I'm like, well, I'm just going to have to gouge my eye out and go do the thing. But in this case, I'm just thinking, well, can't we just kill him? Can't we just kill this Morgan fellow? Would that work too? And let's not talk about the whole eye thing. Can we just go to this other part, which doesn't involve me tearing my eye out and
well, then we
all
have
this
the
other
paranoia
stuff
to consider there too. Why are these people trying to tell me to tear out my own eye?
Right. There's that too, and there's that clearly, like, it is too late for you, my son. Too late for Smalls. Like, what the,
It's interesting though. Like I mean, in other games, right? Like I know we're playing this game, right? And I'm actually thinking this would be a time when I should be reaching for the sanity dice, right? Like this is a time. Like I'm asking my own self, like, gee, Bright, when's the last time in a Dungeons and Dragons type game you voluntarily said, gee, let me lower my hit points? It's such a different genre of game. Like it's such a different it hits on different cylinders. Like, I mean, I'm in having these things happen in the game, and I'm thinking, okay, yeah, this would really mess up Smalls. I'm gonna reach for I'm sure, Anthony, you would have, if I ignored that, you probably would have prompted me to. But
Yeah, I was
I'm
on the way.
actually,
I was
yeah,
going to talk about the healing detail and then hit you with the dice.
yeah. But I was already reaching for the dice at that point. I was like, this is messing me up. So it's such a different genre. Like other games, I've never said, let me voluntarily decrease my character's capabilities. Let me downgrade, even if it's ever so slightly. Let's say it's just a small sanity loss. In no other game would I ever, or type of game would I say, I don't want my fourth level warrior to be weaker, or my cleric to be able to cast less spells. It
you gotta
just
watch
wouldn't.
me play sometime.
Yeah.
Boy, I get hurt all the time, but
Well,
it's funny. It's
get
funny,
hurt,
like,
but do you volunteer yourself to get, like, do you volunteer to bring yourself down? Like,
I put myself in dangerous situations, but just to not go off a tangent. But the funny thing too is, like, with me, rather than like thinking like, oh, I should reach for the dice now or whatever, or voluntarily do it. It's more like we have these moments in game where it's, I get hit with something, and then I found I was kind of watching myself do this, where I'll just stop for a second and I'll pause and I won't say anything, and maybe I give a look or whatever, and I wait to see, is Anthony going to ask me to roll sanity or not? Because it's kind of one of those things where, like, oh, well, that was freaking weird. And if he doesn't, then we just go on, But still,
right.
In the mind of the character, I'm still experiencing like a heightened level of stress. Does that mean that it invokes a mechanic? Not necessarily, but I'm kind of conscious of that experience the whole time, and those moments where it feels more like a gut punch. I'm not advocating for it, but I'll just look for a second and think, it's kind of like, almost like how my dog might look at me expectantly, like, is there gonna be a treat? Except I don't want this treat. But I figure, okay, this is kind of one of those moments.
Is it jarring that I asked to roll for the dice? Was it jarring for me as the player to be like, oh, I'm going to roll my sanity dice now. Like, I'm going to roll did I call undue? Like, if it's me calling undue attention to the mechanics, tell me not to do that. And Ivan, I'll follow your lead, where I'm not sort of saying, gee, this is where Smalls would reach or I will reach for the sanity dice to.
Yeah, we've got two ways to do it, right? You can describe your agitation. And that's my signal from you that your understanding of your character is telling you that this needs to be addressed in some way. And I can respond to that. And that's where my preferences lie, is by kind of hiding the system in the language. And,
But
my rubric for calling for sanity rolls borrows pretty liberally from the way it's described in 6th edition, where, like, if I call for a sanity roll, this means that there's been mind-altering terror of some kind, or there has been exposure to the magic and science and other worldliness of the mythos. So it's almost a physical effect, which is changing the characters.
Yeah.
Which to the uneducated eye seems like mental illness and that sort of thing.
Right.
So it's an interpretation of, he went crazy.
Right.
So when I'm calling for things, it's because of exposure to the weirdness of the book, proximity to magic, but at the same time, the impossibly violent and horrific exposure to the mob massacre.
Right.
These are the things that I will call for a roll for. The rest of it, I'm leaving up to you to role play the effect. I've just been to this place. How does it affect me? Not at all, or is it bringing something out of me? So we've seen retiring, quiet shopkeeper Smalls resort to violence, right?
Yeah.
And we've also seen the debilitating effects on Terrence. Can't concentrate. Every time the conversation, like, let's talk about the mysteries of the book. He's like, whoa, there's nothing going on with the book.
Yeah.
And now this growing sense that someone's watching me and someone's aware of me, and now they just told you it's true.
Right. Yeah, it's just and it's funny though, like if you watch, say, like, I don't know if you watch like Brian Gregory's sessions yet, like some of those, he'll describe his mental condition as he's getting closer and closer to like breaking. I think it's not something I consciously do necessarily, but like I'll generally let you into the character's mental state by just acting.
Yeah.
Acting more agitated. And that's usually just by trying to get into his headspace. I don't say, and now I shall draw upon my vast acting classes, to convey, but I just kind of like put myself in that position. So then it kind of comes out. So hopefully, you can kind of, catch that he's getting more and more unraveled. Maybe it is time for a role or whatever. Or maybe this is affecting him more. But it's funny though, like now these, the conversations I'm having with these people now, we're talking about things that are patently absurd. Whereas maybe in the beginning of this session, I might have prompted a sanity roll, like if I was running it. But now it's like, oh, geez, we talk about this all the time. What the hell?
Well,
yeah, okay.
And
fine,
I've noticed in your
vampires,
conversations with the lawyer and all this, like at the Gavigan estate, like that's something that the type of conversations you're having now would not be the type of conversation that Terrence would have been capable of some sessions ago.
Yeah.
No, and well, I mean, listen to him talk too, and like when he stops mid-sentence, it's not because I can't think of what to say. It's like literally he's stopping, like, this is crazy. I'm just not. No. So he starts to say. I find that he starts to say lots of things now, and then just stops himself and laughs, or just doesn't quite finish the sentence. And it's not because I don't know what to say. It's because he's like, no.
But you're
I'm not even
moving
gonna
in
say
that, you're moving into new territory though. I can see it happening. The character is definitely moving into new territory as you become
Oh, yeah.
more of a denizen of this other world or this other having
There's
this other
no other
awareness.
world, Smalls. There's no other world. There's just
Oh,
this
but there
world.
is.
What are you talking?
Okay.
No, there's no other world.
So on that cheerful note, I'm sorry I have to eject.
Understand.
But,
Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you for a wonderful evening of fun and imagination.
I was
Yeah.
waiting for the speech you were going to
Thanks,
give to
guys.
Thomas O. Reardon, though.
Yeah,
That's the one disappointment. Is the entire thing.
Yeah,
Is when
no,
Reardon says that. I was
I'm
waiting for the
just-
small speech.
yeah, no, the Smalls is talking to the floor right now.
yeah, I felt a pang of sadness to see the agile dodge. And
You let that nice young man go right now, you ruffian. I don't know what you are, but you know what you're
Well,
doing.
yeah. I do want to know at some point, like, I don't know, I know we got a break, but like, do I know the voice? Do I recognize that? We can maybe handle that in game. Like, did I recognize who was that? Was that Morgan? Was that, I don't know.
it
Like-
wasn't Morgan's voice, but he told you I wrote the book.
Right. Okay. All right. So,
It's mine.
okay.
I'm taking it.
Yeah. All right. All right. Well, on that cheery note, I'm gonna.
If anything happens to young Tommy O'Riordan, your answer to me.
That's right.
Take care, gents.
Have a good night.